أعوذ بالله الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So, uh, we shall be starting our strategic management course today, and I will be leading the course. Okay, my name's Marjan Usama Ismail from Kenya. So I'll be leading the course. In the next 4 weeks, we shall be learning, discussing, and sharing ideas about strategic management together. So we shall be having our online classes every Friday from 8 to around 9 or 9:30, and also every Saturday. So we shall be having 2 days in a week. Then number two, I have shared with you all the resources that you required in this course. I've shared with you the course outline. Then I've also shared with you the references book. So during your free time, I'd like you to read those books. Read and analyze, so you should basically use the references to get more ideas and insights about the course. Now, the most important thing about this course is we shall be having the attendance. The attendance will be 20% of your final grade. Then the 20% will be for either a quiz or a research. Then your final exam will be out of 60. So your final exam will be out of 60%. Okay? So I think that is all you need to know about the course. Okay? Now in our lesson today, we shall be talking about an introduction to strategic management. Now, as we start our lesson today, we always have our lesson objectives. So هذه هي الأهداف. These are our lesson objectives. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do what? Number one, define ta'rif, define strategic management and explain its purpose in organization. Two, analyze the importance of strategic management. Three, identify the key principles, al-mabadi, identify the key principles that guide effective strategic management. ثم discuss the criticism against strategic management and their implications. ثم خامسا define strategy and differentiate it from tactics and operational plans. Then number 6, list and explain the components, mukawinat, the components of a good strategy. ثم describe the types of strategies. ثم ماذا؟ أخيرا explain strategic outcomes and their role in evaluating the success of strategies. So this is what we shall be covering in our lesson today. Now let us start. Bismillah. So number one is always when you are starting any course, it is important to get the foundation. It is important to get the basic understanding. It is important to define. So the khalfiyah, the background is very important. Now, we are going to be looking at around 3 or 4 definitions of strategic management. Then we shall analyze all those definitions. And from those definitions, we'll do what? You will come to understand the importance of strategic management. So, what is strategic management? So this is the first definition. Strategic management is the process, al-amaliya. It is the process through which an organization plans, at-takhtit, implements, monitors, and evaluates decisions and actions to achieve the most important thing. To achieve what? Its long-term goals and objectives. So it helps a business adapt to changes in the environment and remain competitive, as we shall see later. And the most important thing, it is a continuous cycle involving... Yes, please. Is there a question? So this is what is all about strategic management. So strategic management is the process through which an organization does what? Plan. So the first thing is planning. ثم ثانيا, when you finish planning, there is what is known as a tanfidh. You have to implement what you have planned. ثم بعد ذلك هناك عملية المراقبة. We need to monitor and evaluate to see if our plan is working. If our plan is not working, then we have to go back to the drawing board. We need to ask ourselves, لماذا? So that is the importance of what? That is the importance of this evaluation. Okay? Evaluate decisions and actions to achieve the long-term goal. So when you're talking about strategic management, it is not about yesterday. It is not about today. It is about al-mustaqbal. It is about the future. We are trying our level best to predict ماذا سيحدث في المستقبل, and we come with a very good plan that will enable us to maneuver around. So this strategic planning or management, it helps a business to adapt to changes in the environment. Remember, as a business, you are operating in an environment that is dynamic. This environment is changing every day. So if you cannot adapt, you will not compete. So you need to adapt to the technological changes. You need to adapt to the political changes. You need to adapt to the environment. You need to adapt to the legislative policies. إلى غير ذلك. And also the most important thing, to remain competitive. Al-miza at-tanafusiyya can only be achieved through good strategic planning. Because remember, if you're having a business, you are not operating alone. There are many people in the market. So if you just sleep like Nokia, one time Nokia was among the best mobile phones. But what happened to Nokia? They were not planning strategically. So nowadays, even people don't use Nokia because they thought, khalas, they were in the comfort zone. They thought we were having enough customers. Khalas, لماذا? Why should we? لماذا tatwir? Why do we need actually to improve? So it is very important to do what? To have a strategic plan. Now, to elaborate this more, I need you to look close at this diagram to understand more about the strategic management. So we have what is known as the strategic management process. If you understand this model, then you are going to understand the whole course. If you read any strategic management book, it covers these 4 basic things. Any book in strategic management is covering these 4 items. And this is what we shall be covering in the next 4 weeks, inshallah. Now, the one who is with the camera, can you switch off your camera, please, your video? Nobody wants to see your face. Who is that? Now, when you're talking about the strategic management process, number 1, the first process in strategic management is environmental scanning. And we shall learn in detail about what is environmental scanning. So before you even start planning, you need to scan the environment. And when you are talking about scanning the environment, as a business, we have 2 types of environment. We have the internal environment and we have the external environment. So as a businessman or a businesswoman, you should analyze, you should know what is happening internally inside your organization and what is also happening externally. Now, When you get this data, this information, then you go to the next step. The next step is now called what? Strategy formulation. So this is where you develop long-term plans to achieve the organization mission and objectives. So this is where you are going to formulate and set your strategies. And there are very many different kinds of strategy. We shall cover all those types of strategies. Thumma, when you finish now, you have a very good strategy. You come to the implementation. So in implementation, this is all about allocating resources, designing organizational structure, developing policies, ila ghairi dhalik. So it is putting your plan in what? In action. Okay? Now, when you finish the strategic implementation, then you go to the next step, what is known as strategic monitoring, evaluation, and feedback. Now, here we are going to evaluate the strategy that we are implementing. Is it working or it's not working? That is why you have the feedback here. So the strategic monitoring evaluation, it will give us this feedback. So from this feedback, we are going to understand and you are going to answer the question, is our strategic planning working or it's not working? If it is working, fabi our ni'ma. If it is not working, then we have to go back to what? We have to go back to step 1, environmental scanning. Okay, then again, formulation, then again, implementation, then again, the monitoring and evaluation. So this is what strategic management is all about. So this is what we shall be covering in our course. And this is what you can find in any book in this world about strategic management. Now, the same thing they're basically explaining here using a different model. So the first thing, of course, we have the environmental scanning, the internal and external. Then after that, we have the strategy formulation. Once you finish with the strategy formulation, you go to strategy implementation. Now, when we finish with the implementation, we go to the strategic monitoring, evaluation, and feedback. Now, so that was our first definition. Now, we are also going to another definition of strategic management by Chandler. This was in 1962. So what did he say about strategic management? So he said that strategic management is the determination of the basic long-term goals. Remember, we talked about al-mustaqbal, long-term goals and objectives of an enterprise. An enterprise is another word for business or company or organization. So the basic long-term goals and objectives of an enterprise and the adoption of courses of action. I need you to underline this. Adoption of courses of action. This is the strategy formulation. It is the strategy formulation. This is what is meant by adoption of courses of action. How are we going to compete? We need to have a strategy. And the allocation of resources. For us to achieve our goals, we need to have what? For us to achieve our goals, we need to have what? We need to have a very good, we need to allocate resources. Okay? So for us to achieve our goals, we need to have resources. And when we are talking about the resources, in any company, in any business, you have 4 types of resources. So we have the human resources, we have the financial resources, we have the physical resources, and we have the tangible resources. No, the intangible resources. So for us to achieve our goal as an organization, we have to ensure that we are using all our resources. Bi al-kafa'a wal-fa'aliyah. Bi al-kafa'a wal-fa'aliyah means what? Efficiently and effectively. As a management student, you should familiarize yourself with these two words, al-kafa'a wal-fa'aliyah. Now, allocation of resources necessary for carrying out these goals. Now, let us see another definition. This is a definition by Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington in 2008. So what did they say about strategic management? Now, they said that strategic management is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term. Again, here the long term is coming, repeating again. Over the long term, which achieves an advantage, al-miza, an advantage for the organization through its configuration of resources. Again, in this definition, we are having resources. We cannot achieve our objective without resources. And in our coming lessons, we shall also discuss in detail about what are the types of resources in the organization and how should we use these resources. That is a lesson for another day. So within a changing environment, so remember I told you that as businesses, we are operating in an environment that is dynamic, in an environment that is changing every day, especially in the 21st century. Technology is changing bisur'a. It is changing rapidly. So as the technology is changing, we also need to adapt. If we are not going to adapt, then we are not going to have the al-miza at-tanafusiyya. Please, when you come in, switch off your videos. Abdul Karim, switch your video. Nobody wants to see your face. So this definition focuses on competitive advantage. Al-miza at-tanafusiyya. Every business is there in the market. Limada? Because they need al-arbah, profits. Can you achieve profits if you are not giving good quality products and services? No. So when you're talking about competitive advantage, we are talking about the value you are giving to your customers. Okay? So this is what your customers will always ask for. If you cannot give your customers the value, okay, then they will go to another organization, another business where they will find that value. Now, another definition was by Mintzberg in 1994. So he had a very short definition talking about strategic management. So he said, strategy is a pattern in a stream of decision. So in this definition, he suggests that strategy is not always planned. Wow, this is very important. That strategy is not always planned, but can emerge from consistent decision taken over time. It highlights the dynamic. Again, there are some keywords I need you to remember. It highlights the dynamic nature of strategy formulation. That is the environment we are living in. It is changing. It is dynamic. And because of that, we need to keep on doing what? Adapting. We need to keep on sharpening our skills. We need to keep on training our human resource. Now, according to him, he suggests that strategy is not always planned. It's not always. So what we are saying that strategy is a plan, but sometimes there are some things that just come, you did not plan. There are some things that come faj'atan. For example, we are having the University of Alpha. At the beginning of the academic year, they were planning that we are going to get 500 students for the MBS classes. But as time went by, what happened? The admission increased to 1,000. So this is not what Alpha University planned for. They were planning for 500. But what is happening now? They're having 1,000 students. So this is what is known as an emergency, an emergent strategy. It is a strategy. We did not plan for it, but khalas, this is the reality. Khalas, let us work on this reality. Okay? And sometimes it can be opposite. Alpha, they were planning for 500 students. But what happened? Al-Aqs, they get 200 students. They have to change their strategy. This is something that is new now. It is not something that they had initially planned. Okay, on to the next part of our lesson. Mahi al-Ahmiya, what are the importance of strategic management? Now, from all this definition, we can actually get to understand the importance of strategic management. Number one, provides direction and goals. From all the definition, remember we were talking about future goals, long-term objectives. So strategic management helps organizations set clear objective الوضوح في ماذا in the تحديد الأهداف and develop a roadmap to achieve them. So we set the objective ماذا نريد ثم ثانيا كيف بإمكاننا أن نحقق هذه الأهداف. Number two, enhances competitive advantage, enables businesses to analyze market, تحليل السوق, and develop strategies to outperform competitors, to win against your competitors. For example, the Habshil Bank, there are many banks. So the Habshil Bank has to compete with all the other banks, the Premier Bank, you know, it has to compete with Dar Salam Bank, ila ghayri dhalik. So for you to outperform them, you need to have a very good strategic plan. And this is what is known as, so it enables businesses to analyze the market. Remember, we talked about scanning the environment, the internal environment and the external, biya al-dakhiliya wal biya al-kharijiyya. Number three, it improves decision making, اتخاذ القرارات, تحسين عمليات اتخاذ القرارات. So now, it encourages data-driven. I need you to underline the word data-driven decision. In the 21st century, if you are a manager, if you are having a business, you need to have information before making any decision. You cannot make your decision emotionally. You need to be al-mawdu'iyya. You need to be objective. You need to make informed decision. So this how are you going to make the informed decision? You need information. Where are you going to get the information? Strategic management, strategic planning is going to give you the information and you are going to use it when you're making the decision. Number four, ensures long-term sustainability, al-istidama. So it helps businesses adapt to changing environments and maintain growth. Many businesses fail. Many businesses don't grow. Why? Because they don't adapt. Why? Because they don't plan. Why? Because they don't scan their environment. So we find many businesses today, after 3 months, they are going to close. And we know them. You know all the businesses that have started. ولكن فجأة في لمح البصر the business is no longer there. لماذا? Because they did not have a good plan. Then the most important thing, I like this, optimizes resource utilization. استخدام الأمثل للموارد سواء كان الموارد البشرية سواء كانت موارد المالية إلى غير ذلك. So ensures efficient, remember I told you this one. Efficient means al-kafa'a, efficient allocation, وضع الموارد في مكان مناسب بدون الإسراف. So ensures efficient allocation of financial resources, human resources, and even now we have the technological resources. Now, ما هي المبادئ? What are the principles of strategic management? Because when we are planning, there need to be some principle some guidelines that we need to consider as we are planning. Number one, goal-oriented approach. Goal-oriented approach. Strategies must align with the organization mission and vision. Every organization in this world, they have a risala wa a ru'ya. So when you are setting your goal, فهذه الأهداف, they should be aligned with your mission and vision. They should be aligned together. They should be coherent. Number two, environmental adaptation. التكيف في البيئة. Organization must assess external and internal environment to remain competitive. You don't have an option. واجب لازم أن تحلل البيئة الخارجية والداخلية if you want to compete. Number three, competitive positioning. This is very important, and we shall learn about this also. Competitive positioning, gaining an advantage over competitors through, there are two things here. I need you to underline this: differentiation or cost. Ya Jama'ah, today, if you are doing any business, you can only compare yourself with your competitors based on two things. Number one, al-jawda. Al-jawda is differentiation. My quality, the quality of food in my hotel, is it okay? Is it good compared to the other hotel such that people can come to my hotel? So number one is what? Differentiation, al-jawda. So al-jawda can enable you to have the competitive advantage. Okay? Number two is cost. Cost means at-taklifa or al-qima. What am I charging my customers compared to my competitors? My prices, are they high or are they low? Or are they in between? So these are strategies. We shall talk about these strategies. We have the differentiation strategy, we have the cost leadership strategy. We will talk about all this strategy, and you will see as a business which strategy are you actually applying. Number four, continuous improvement. Ya Jama, strategic planning is an ongoing process. You cannot plan today and you say, "Khalas, Ya Jama, we've done our planning. Let us sleep, let us celebrate. نحتفل. فكيف تحتفل والبيئة يتغير?" How are you going to slow down? And the environment is dynamic. So it should be ongoing. Okay? It should be ongoing. Okay, requiring continuous evaluation and modification. So continuous evaluation, you adjust. You evaluate, you add, you evaluate, you remove, you add, إلى غير ذلك. ثم أخيرا, this is also very, 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 very important in strategic management. Stakeholder involvement. If you want your plan to be successful, you need to engage all the stakeholders. وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Engage all your employees. That is why you have the well-performing organization at the end of the year. Quarterly, monthly, weekly, they have a meeting with the employees. They ask questions. How are we doing? What are the challenges? What resources needs to be added? So the conversation should be going. Your customers, the questionnaires, always ask them for the feedback. How is the quality of our product? How is our prices? The question should be there. The conversation should be there. Your investors, remember, sometimes you have partnership. Sometimes you'll want people to inject money in your business. Have conversation with them. And other stakeholders, the government, they are also stakeholders, the NGOs, your suppliers, all these stakeholders, you have to involve them. If you don't involve your stakeholders, then you will fail. and you will fail miserably. So these are the principles of strategic management. Now, everything has some limitation and some disadvantages. So هناك بعض العلماء, there are some scholars يعني هناك النقد, they criticize this strategic management. So they're saying, yeah, the strategic management is not good because of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what are their arguments? Those people who are saying the strategic management is not good. So what are they saying? Number one, rigidity and over-planning. So some argue that excessive strategic planning makes businesses less adaptable to rapid market changes. For some of them are saying kathratu takhtit, over-planning, sometimes actually makes a business not to respond and not to adapt to the market changes. That is, some businesses, they are very rigid. It is called what? Jamidin. Like, oh, ya Jama, this is our plan. We cannot go left, we cannot go right, ya Jama. Let us surat al-mustaqim. Let us just follow this. We cannot go. So this sometimes it is good, but not all the times. Number two, uncertainty and predictability. Ya Jama, there is unforeseen external factors. Today, the environment is stable. Tomorrow there is election, political instability. Today, there is a war in Iran. It is going to affect the price of petrol. If the price of petrol is going high, it is going to affect my business. There is a war in Ukraine, and my suppliers are in Ukraine, and there is war there. What is going to happen? So there are a lot of changes in technology. AI, every day, things are changing in technology. So strategic management, sometimes it is very difficult because of these changes that are happening very quickly. Then number three, resource-intensive process. That strategic management requires time, money, expertise, which may be a burden for small businesses. So small businesses, they cannot actually manage to have or to do what? To participate or to draft the strategic plan. Why? Mukallaf, zamaniyan, maliyan, expertise. It needs experts. Sometimes you need to go to consultants. They have to come to your organization. They have to analyze your policies. So you have to pay them. And all this is money. So this ulama, they're saying, ya jama, we need this thing, walakin mukallaf. ثم أخيرا, implementation challenges. Even well-crafted strategy can fail. Even the best strategies in this world. You can call the experts from America, from where? Call them. So even well-crafted strategy can fail. لماذا? Due to poor execution. إذا كان هناك الخلل في التنفيذ. Sometimes هناك employee resistance. There are some people, they don't want change in the organization. They don't want new ideas. Kaslanin. Because all this planning, we're going to have a lot of work to do, no salary. So a lot of shakawa. So they resist. And also lack of leadership commitment. Good strategies need will, commitment from the top management. If the top management cannot support the strategies, then it is going to fail even before we start implementing them. So these are the tahdiyat, or these are the disadvantages of strategic management. ولكن مع كل هذه, we are basically saying it is important. Yes, هناك بعض الضعف, نقاط الضعف, but the bottom line is that strategic management is very important. Now, we are through with the definition of strategic management. Now, we want to define this word, Yajama, strategy, only strategy. Somebody's telling you, oh, we are having strategy. This is our strategy. For example, Barcelona, what is their strategy? They play 4-3-3. We go to Manchester, they have their formula. So every team, they have their strategy. And this strategy is going to help them to win the game. They don't want to lose. So I need you to think of this also in companies and organizations. They also have their 4-3-3. Every organization, they have their system, how they are going to do it, how they are going to operate. So this is what is known as strategy. So in strategic management, strategy refers to a comprehensive and forward-looking plan that outlines how al-kayfiyah. This is very important. Even leave everything. How an organization will achieve. How are we going to win this match? We need to play 4-3-3, or we need to change our strategy to 4-5-1. So how an organization will achieve its long-term goal and objectives. So we will continue the lesson after the break because I only have 1 minute remaining before. So the Zoom, I only have the Zoom for 40 or 35 minutes. So the lesson will go off anytime. So when the lesson goes off, after 6 or 7 minutes, I will send another link. I will send another link to the group. Then we'll have another 20 minutes only to finish the remaining part of our lesson. So let us continue. But if it goes off, just wait for 7 or 8 minutes. I will send another link. So when we are talking about strategy, it involves making decision about resource allocation. Ya Jama, indana al-mawarid al-bashariya, indana al-mawarid, how are we going to use these resources? For example, in a football match, we have the human resource. Who is going to play in the defense? Who is going to play in the midfield? Who is going to strike today because we need goals? You cannot put the goalkeeper to strike. Even in the company, we need people. وَضْعُ الشَّخْصِ الْمُنَاسِبِ فِي مَكَانِ الْمُنَاسِبِ. This is what is meant by resource allocation. Competitive positioning. Competitive positioning basically means we need, remember when you were talking about quality and cost, we need to that is why you find the best coaches. They find good players. Good players, they can even pay 100 million. You know, if you want to win, you need to have quality players. So if you look, for example, like the Guardiolas, those big coaches,